Hey guys, what's up? This is Force of Force StarCraft 2 Strategy, your number one location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hellion Banshee opener. This is a Terran versus Zerg strategy. This is a very good opener versus Zerg opponents. Basically it entails getting early game Hellions, going out with I usually go out with about 4 to 5 Hellions, and then immediately afterwards following that up by hitting them up with Banshees. Basically, the goal of the strategy, the point is to try to catch them off guard by making them prepare for those Hellions. After getting hit with them, they're typically going to want to build units to prevent getting hit again with them, and then immediately hitting them with that air-to-ground unit, the Banshee, forcing them to switch to anti-air. Now, a lot of times you can catch them off guard by doing this and basically end in a win. A little bit of a blunder in this game, though. I do let a Nidus Worm get built in my base. Typically, that would never happen. I had played this game late at night. I was pretty tired. I usually put supply depots around all the corners, the dark edges of my base, so that stuff like that doesn't happen. But not the case this game, so it gets a little interesting. Basically, if that hadn't happened, it would have been a much easier win for me. But things get a little hairy come the end of the game, and you'll see as we get to it. So again, a little bit of a variation as far as the opener is concerned. The same variation when I'm going for fast tanks. And what that is I get that refinery before I get that barracks, just so I can get that 100 gas out and get that factory the second that my barracks is done building. As you see, the Zerg player is getting a scout of my base here. Now, unfortunately, an issue with getting this delayed barracks is that I'm not going to have an early Marine to kind of push back this Overlord. So he is going to be able to get a full scout of my base. But again, I am not too concerned because the strategy is so effective versus Zerg. Again, that Hellion Banshee opener is so effective versus Zerg that it usually still ends up going in my favor, even allowing them to get that full scout. And I don't know what it is about Scrap Station, this map with this huge choke here, which makes it take forever to wall off, but I seem to always face Zerg opponents on this map, and it honestly is the most infuriating thing because it's so difficult again to wall off, and it's so easy for Zerglings to run into your base really early in the game. But anyways, so going to go ahead and take a look at the build order, what we're looking at here. So again, starting off with that basic supply depot at 10, then going to the refinery, and then after the refinery is done building, we're going to be getting that barracks, and that's at about 12 supply. The second the barracks is done building, you should have 100 gas, so we're going to want to go ahead and drop that factory right away. And then at your next 50 gas, you want to go ahead and get reactor right on your barracks. And you want to do that as soon as possible. As soon as you get 50 gas after you start building your factory, you want to go ahead and get that reactor, because the reactor takes a long time to build. And what you want ideally is I think I was delayed a little bit here, but typically if you do this and you get the timing right, the second your factory is done, your reactor is going to be pretty much just done building. There's a little bit of a delay in time here though, so I'm going to just go ahead and make my first Hellion out of that normal factory, and then my next two are going to be coming out of the reactor factory. You're going to be going ahead and getting an orbital command as well. You want to get that after your barracks is done building, and when you're basically midway through your orbital command, when you're midway through your factory, I'm sorry. And then you want to go ahead and get your refinery as well, basically as soon as you're done your orbital command. You do need gas in this build. It's pretty gas intensive, but not right away, because again, you're going to be getting those early Hellions, so that's why we can delay the second refinery just a little bit, again getting that after we get our orbital command. Now once you start producing your batch of Hellions here, you want to go ahead and start getting your starport out, and then follow that up with getting a reactor on the starport and going straight to a Banshee. And again, the timing basically works out so that just when I'm done hitting with the Hellions, I'm going to follow up with that Banshee right away. So again, it's a nice little 1-2 punch. Pardon my analogy there, but again, it can be very, very effective. Now, taking a look at the Zerg opponent here, he's again going for that Nidus network. Gonna try to be Nidusing in my base, and gonna succeed actually. It's gonna be Speedling Nidus into my base, so no Banelings in this particular match. I did get a scout of his base not too long ago, I believe. I had sent out an SCV, so I hadn't seen the Banelings nest, so I wasn't too concerned. And I was planning on following up with another scout shortly thereafter. But moving out with my Hellions right now, so were Banelings coming, I would see that with this Hellion push, and then I would have fortified this a little bit better, probably actually dropped 2 more barracks right here, just spending those extra minerals to wall myself in a little bit. But as you can see, again with my timing, as I said earlier, I'm moving out with these Hellions now, and I have my first Banshee en route. and I do have him rallied a little bit towards my opponent's base. Now, this is again where things get interesting here, because this is right where he's about to knight us into my base. Definitely not something I should ever let happen again. Typically, you're going to want to put supply depots in these dark corners of your base, and I did it up here. I don't know why I neglected down there. I'll tell you one thing, that mistake's never going to happen again, because this was not something that I was looking forward to. I was about to move in with these Hellions, and I would have taken out these Speedlings pretty easily with some good micro. Those Speedlings would have dropped. Now I heard the knight is where I'm going my base, and I decided, well, there's one of two things I could do. I could either run my Hellions all the way back, and by that time the Speedlings would already have taken out most of my base, or I can just do what damage I can to his base. And I decided to stay in his base, try to do as much damage. I took out a decent portion of those drones. He actually did put a few of those drones in to join the attack. Now what ends up happening is that Banshee that I timed to come out came out just in time. I'm going to be able to take out this queen. I don't think with this Banshee, yeah, take out this queen, and then after that words, I'm just going to be able to take out these Zerglings. Now he does run them back because he realizes the Zerglings aren't going to be able to do much of anything versus this Banshee. What I end up doing here is I lift off my orbital command and I bring it up to this area. So I'm going to start mining up here. I'm going to feel pretty safe. Hellion's microing around. I'm going to take out a lot of these Zerglings here and a few drones as well. A little bit of an issue there. I microed in that corner. It could have been much more devastating if I was out in the open, and I do end up getting surrounded. Now the thing is, he has lost a majority of his drones. In fact, he has no drones in his base mining right now. Now I'm aware of this, so knowing this, again, I'm dropping my orbital command. I'm going to start mining up there and start pumping out more units. I do have a second Banshee that just popped out, so I'm going to be bringing that over to help with these Lings. I'm trying to keep these Hellions alive. Like, I wasn't paying full attention though. I ended up losing that one. This one's about to drop too, very low HP. But again, these Banshees are gonna there's nothing Zerglings are gonna be able to do. Again, I've said this before, Zerglings don't jump. They are not airborne units. So Zerglings fall to Banshees, plain and simple. So what I end up doing here is I bring the Banshees up to this base. I repair this one. I get a third Banshee, and then I go and hit his base, because again, I knew that I had killed almost all of his drones. He had basically nothing left, and that if I could just get one or two more Banshees out, I could hit him, and I'm probably pretty safe. I did end up taking out that Nidus Canal as well, which I don't think he knew, because he loaded up the Nidus network. He's probably going to be planning to redrop it. I'm not quite sure what he ends up doing. I don't think he redrops it though. So I felt pretty safe at this point. I felt pretty confident. I was mining from up here, I was getting some SCVs. I figured, I get a couple more Banshees, I hit his base. I doubt he's going to have any more Queens or anything. He did end up getting a couple Hydralisks out, but at the expense of drones. So what that means is that he's actually doing me a favor here, because with some micro I can pull these Banshees back and save them from dying to these Hydralisks. Hydralisks do very well against Banshees, but in low numbers, being able to micro the Banshees away, you're usually pretty safe. Do I end up losing this one? Yeah, I end up that's just my fault. I screwed up there. But again, I had a second Banshee on the way because I have free reign to mine up here, and he doesn't have that because I have Banshees in his base. I think the only thing that really could have saved him in this situation was had he gotten a Spire instead of this Hydralisk Den. But even with that, the Mutalisks cost so much, and I had taken out almost all of his drones. I don't think he would have been able to get them out on time. And had I seen a Spire, I would have just gotten some Vikings and then hit him with some more Hellions. So either way, it was pretty much a good game. Things get a little convoluted in this particular matchup. Not the normal game. Didn't go exactly as planned, but as far as the strategy is concerned, it's still solid. Works very well. As you can see, even when things don't go my way, I was able to prevail. So going over that build order real quick, we had the 10 supply followed by the refinery, got that 12 barracks, and then saturated that refinery. Basically, as soon as the barracks is done building, we can get our factory. Now, while the factory is building, you want to go ahead and get a reactor on your barracks so you can switch right away, go ahead and get those 2 Hellions, and then you want to jump straight into your starport with a tech lab and get some Banshees out. Hit your opponent with those Hellions and then follow that up immediately with some Banshees, and it's a very, very effective strategy. It works very well. So again, guys, this has been for StarCraft 2 Strategy, your #1 location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Keep watching and keep owning, guys.